our staff has checked in a whole bunch of witnesses, and I want to caution you that I really don't want to have, a parade of character witnesses, if you will. I want people that have actual knowledge of whatever's been alleged in the petition. That's all we're going to hear. I need to instruct both sides. If it's not in the petition, I do not want to hear it. I've already got the background, with the other action pending in Gwinnett County, but there's no need to go any further back than the starting of your petition, whatever was in there, unless something has happened since the filing of the petition that you believe that the court needs to know. That's the only thing that can be added, if you will. The respondent, Mr. Hu, is only on notice as to whatever you alleged in your petition, Ms. Moorcraft. So he can't come in and defend something that was not raised in your petition. Okay, everybody understand the ground rules. All right,
Yes, Judge.
the petitioner has the burden of proof, which I know you're probably not familiar with, Ms. Moorcraft. You have to prove by preponderance of the evidence that acts of family violence have occurred and that there's a likelihood that such acts may occur in the future, but for the issuance of your requested protective order. So that is your burden. If you do not meet the burden, then I cannot grant the protective order. If you do meet the burden, then I will grant the protective order. There may be issues related to the child. I'm assuming that there's already child support in place. Any change to that will have to occur in another court where there's already an action pending. If I understand correctly, Ms. Boyd, you have filed modification on behalf of Mr. Hu in Gwinnett County. Is that correct? Okay. So any issues that essentially are a modification in nature will have to occur there. So basically all I'm going to be hearing today are the allegations and the response to the allegations of family violence. Is everybody clear on that?
Yes, Judge.
All right. And Ms. Moorcraft, do you have any witnesses?
I do not have any personal witnesses, no, sir, but I do have some questions for their witnesses if we get to that point.
Well, you have the right to cross-examine anyone who testifies, just as Ms. Boyd has the right to cross-examine you, or if you had witnesses, she could cross-examine them as well.
Yes, sir.
If either of you have filed any exhibits with the court and you want me to see those, you need to identify them by the caption or by the label that you put on that document when you filed it so that our staff can pull it up, and then it'll be put on a shared screen for everyone to review at the same time. And Ms. Moorcraft, if you hear the word objection being raised by Ms. Boyd, which she has the right to do if she thinks there's something you've asked or said that was objectionable, once you hear the word objection, please stop talking so that we can deal with the objection before proceeding.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
And I have the same right, sir?
Oh, absolutely. But it has to be a legal objection, not just something you don't want to hear. Okay.
Totally understand. Yes, sir.
All right. You may begin and tell me why you're seeking a protective order against Mr. Hu.
So we have a 3-year-old daughter that we had just finished our custody agreement that was legally agreed to January of this year. He requested to have her every other weekend. We agreed to that. She came home from a weekend with him June 16th to 18th. When I picked her up on the 19th, Monday, from school, she came running to me very frantically and crying, saying, "Mommy, please don't make me go back there."
Hold on, ma'am. You've gone into what's called hearsay. I'll go ahead and I just want to clarify. I don't want to hear anything that a 3-year-old said. We can't deal with that here. They're not subject to cross-examination.
Got it. Okay. Can I talk about my daughter's actions?
You can talk about what you saw, what you observed, and that's it. Or what you and the respondent may have talked about. He's here and he can respond to that.
Yes, sir. So I just wanted to describe what made me start this. So my daughter came home from spending a weekend with Mr. Hu, acting completely different from majority of the times that she has come home. She has. So when I picked her up from school from spending the weekend with her father, she was clearly distraught, very upset, and very unlike when I typically pick her up from school. After I picked her up, I called her therapist that Mr. Hu and I have agreed that she needed to start seeing because she was struggling with the divorce and staying at his house. And I called the therapist for advice on, I don't know what to do. This is a 3-year-old telling me something. I don't want to ask the wrong questions. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm not trained in this matter. She advised me that I did need to report it to CPS And that since it was a third party maybe reporting to her that she may not necessarily have to, but that she probably would as well. And that she would get us in for an appointment as soon as possible. We went in for an appointment as soon as possible, and you will see, sir, in document, I'm sorry, I'm a little worked up. Document number 8 is a letter provided by our therapist stating everything that she saw and asked Eliza and witnessed when we went into her appointment.
Okay, are you asking us to pull it up? Are you asking us to pull it up
Sure.
so everyone can see
Yes,
it?
sir. Yes. Can we please pull that up?
Well, Judge, I think the letter itself is hearsay, but the counselor is here. So if she would like to authenticate the letter and then move forward with speaking about
Okay,
it.
well, if the counselor is one of your witnesses, Ms. Boyd.
It's a witness that I subpoenaed. I wouldn't call him my witness.
Okay,
But
well,
yes.
okay, but they are here to testify, so.
You subpoenaed them.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to allow the document on that basis, but it would probably be better served, ma'am, if it was done at the time this witness appears.
Okay, great. I'm fine with that too. We can put the document away. That is a person that Mr. Hu and I both trusted to, offer advice and help us with our daughter. I'm not sure why you're shaking your head when you signed the consent form, Mr. Hu.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
One thing we're not going to have in this courtroom, albeit a Zoom courtroom, we will not have the two of you talking to each other out of hand. Both of you, you would have the right to cross-examine him if he testifies, but you are not to discuss anything directly to him. Whether you like his shaking head or not, you need to move on.
Yes, sir. No problem. So the next part of this is the day after, the morning of, I reached out to Mr. Hu myself, as our parenting plan states that we are supposed to co-parent. I let him know specifically what was stated to me and how Eliza was acting, and if something happened this weekend that you would like to discuss with me. His response, let's go ahead and could we please pull up document number 3, please. So this is our court-ordered app that we have to speak through. Again, at this point, I had been advised to call CPS. I did not want to file for a TPO because I know the severity of it, and I wanted to get more information on it. I reached out to Mr. Hu to try to talk to him about it, and his response right here says, frankly, there's nothing to discuss. He does follow up by saying some other very legally nice written terms, and this was about 24 hours after I wrote to him about what his daughter was saying and how she was acting. So in my mind, if my daughter would say that, I'm picking up the phone right away. Let's talk about what happened, because of course I would never do anything to my daughter. But instead it started off with, frankly, there's nothing to discuss, when in our parenting plan, it clearly states we have to discuss everything. So that is number 1. I went to him directly and I was shut down. So then next, I appreciate Ms. Boyd giving her recall of what happened at court last week. But I came at the same time as they did. I was screened by pro bono as per the judge. I did not ask that. The judge made me. I went through 4 hours.
I'm going to go ahead and object. I don't know how this is relevant at this point.
Ma'am, Ms. Moorcraft, we don't need to hear about the screening and the fact that you had to sit here for 4 hours. I apologize. I wasn't the judge that day, but these calendars do run long.
Totally understand, sir. Not my point at all. I apologize if it came off that way.
Let's stick to the petition and why you're here.
Okay, so I'm saying last week I tried to talk to Ms. Boyd when we went to our breakout room.
Okay.
And she said, are you going to drop this or not? And I said, I'm so sorry, ma'am, I'm not. And she left the room. So after trying to talk to Mr. Hu himself, after telling Ms. Boyd, we could have talked about this weeks before it's gotten to this point. You've avoided service twice. And now we're here, and you talk to me like, am I going to drop this now and then just leave the room? There's no real conversation or co-parenting going on. So I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. If you're not going to talk to me, and there's pictures of my daughter having scratch marks on her back where she has said that she's been hit, I have to protect my daughter. So that's why I'm here, sir.
Okay. Do you have any pictures you wish to show the court?
Yes, there are pictures. I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second to pull the correct number up, please, sir. It's documents number 4.1 and 4.2.
Yeah, this is 4.1.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, thank you. All right, everybody had a chance to look at it? All right, 4.2. Can you direct me to what we're supposed to be seeing?
Her neck collarbone, there is a scratch and it's swollen, sir.
Okay, it's very difficult with these share screens. They're very
I
small.
understand. Yes, sir, I understand.
Okay, you're talking about the light mark there or the dark mark next to the light mark?
Dark mark next to the light mark, sir.
Okay. Okay. All right. Everyone through reviewing this? Thank you. All right. Anything else you wish for the court to see?
At this point, no, sir, unless you would like to see our family plan, that was agreed upon that clearly states that we are supposed to co-parent and talk about everything that happens with our daughter.
No, I don't think I need to see any document from another court. Y'all have already told me how the custody is set up, so I understand that. Do you wish to tender the documents that you presented to the court? Do you wish to tender them into evidence? It's a formality that I'm asking you about.
Okay, I'm so sorry, that tender them in, can you?
Yes, the ones that we've seen thus far, do you wish
Yep.
them to be a part of the evidence of this case?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, Ms. Boyd, any objection?
I would have to object to the letter from the counselor because it hasn't been authenticated. just
Right,
yet.
and that, if that witness doesn't testify, then I'm going to let her go back on it and we'll see where it goes from there. But are you telling me that this testify? Ms. Boyd?
She should be in the waiting room.
Okay, what's her name?
Gabrielle
Yeah, okay, she's
Parker,
here.
Gabrielle Parker.
She's here. She's in the waiting room.
Okay,
I would ask when we
Okay.
maybe when we get to your side of the case, if you will present her first so that she can get on about her business.
I would like to.
Okay, or
That's
first
perfect.
after your client, if you will. Okay, anything further, Ms. Moorcraft?
Not at this point, sir.
Okay, now it's time for cross-examination. Ms. Boyd, do you have any cross-examination?
I do. Just a few questions, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Moorcraft. You allege that between June 16th and 18th, my client had parenting time with the minor child. How many times did you speak with Eliza during that time?
Twice for about 20 minutes total. So the whole weekend I talked to her for about 20 minutes.
On what days?
Let's say the 16th and 17th. So I guess I spoke to her the 18th too. I think I spoke to her because the weekend before he wouldn't let me talk to her. So I can go through my phone records if you like. Do you want me to check?
I just want to know how many times you talked to your daughter during this.
I talked to her every day for less than 10 minutes. So it was a total of 20 minutes for the whole weekend that I spoke to her.
And when you say you talked to her, did you speak with her on FaceTime?
Yes, ma'am.
And what time did you talk to her on each of these days? Roundabout.
Let's say sometime between 5:30 and 7:30.
On each day?
Yes, ma'am. Sometime between that time each day, whenever Mr. Who said they were available.
But she didn't show any signs of being distraught during the times that you spoke with her on each of those days on FaceTime.
I would disagree with that. She was playing by herself and ran away multiple times to go find her dad because she didn't want to be alone.
And you were so concerned that you left her there.
I was not concerned until she came home and had scratches and marks on her back and neck. My daughter, she has struggled with staying at her father's house as we've gotten her a therapist for that. So yes, that actually is a normal thing, unfortunately. And I left her
The
there.
question is, you left her there after you observed her being distraught. You said you observed her being distraught. The question is, you left her there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes or no?
I did.
Okay. So
I thought her
once,
father would take care of her.
okay. So once after the 18th at 7:30, sometime between then and when you saw your daughter again, something took place, is what you're trying to say. So let me ask you this: the
Wrong.
school called you, right?
No, I'm not saying that. If I only talked to
The
her
school
for
didn't call you at all?
in those 3 days, how do I know when it happened? I didn't see her with her shirt off. I would have never seen the back marks or the neck mark.
That's not the question. It's more craft. That's not the question. The
Look,
question is, the school contacted you, right?
when did the school contact me?
I'm asking you, when did the school contact you?
I don't know. I
You
don't
need
know.
to tell me that something happened to your daughter between 5:30 and 7:30, or just after that on the 18th. Then she went to a full day of school right after that, and
Mhm.
nobody called you and told you that she was distraught. But as soon as you laid eyes on her, as soon as she came out the door, she was frantic.
She cries pretty much every day at school. She cries waking up from her naps. She cries sometimes being dropped off. She is distraught at school for many different reasons at different times. So no, the school did not call me. It's the school's job to take care of her while we're at work, right? You're distraught, I think there's the level of distraught, right? And I'm hearing an echo again, and it's
Well,
very.
you said that she was frantic. What level of distraught was she when you got a hold of her?
She was running up to me saying, "Mommy, mommy, I never want to go back there." That is frantically distraught to me. And I was told to not
She
speak.
wasn't frantically distraught when she was at school the whole day.
No, she doesn't know them like her mother, that she trusts her mother to come say, "Mom, don't send me back there." How's she going to tell her teacher that?
Okay. The scratch that was on her neck, you saw the photo. Are you alleging that my client scratched her?
Yes, I am.
And that was the scar and what do you have to show that he caused that scar?
Nothing other than that she was in his care for the whole weekend, and I asked him to talk to me about what happened, and he said nothing. So how does she have a scratch and bruise on her neck and scratches on her back if nothing happened? If she fell down the steps,
And you are aware that and you are aware that she had soccer practice the day before, right?
I was there. Mr. Who was not going to take her until I threatened him to take her, because that's part of the rules. He has to take her to her extracurricular.
The question is, you were aware that the young lady played soccer the day before the scratch appeared.
Ma'am, I don't know when the scratch appeared. It could have appeared between the 16th to the 19th at any point.
But on the 18th, she played soccer is the question.
So let me pull my schedule back up. She played soccer on
Just
Saturday.
say yes or no. Did she or did she not have soccer practice on the 18th?
I'm not sure if it was the 18th is what I'm saying. And playing soccer, why would she get a scratch underneath her shirt on her collar?
Ma'am, Ms. Moorcraft, you can't ask questions. Just answer in statements, please. Whatever your knowledge is. If you don't have knowledge of what happened, then you can say so.
I am not sure exactly what date it was, Ms. Boyd. She did have soccer practice and game on Saturday. Yes.
You allege that she had night terror every night, screaming and crying.
Yes.
Every single night. What's every night? When did she have night terror?
It was up until about the first week of July, so for about 2 to 3 weeks. And
she had night terror for 2 to 3 weeks.
Yes. And it's been terribly
hard.
But
she didn't say anything at school. None of the teachers mentioned anything at school, but she had night terror for 2 to 3 weeks the day you picked her up from school.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You also allege that my client has been violent with you and the daughter in the past. Can you tell me more about that's very vague. What does that mean?
Okay, you want me to answer that? Can you?
That's the question. Go ahead and answer it.
Okay, yes, I allege that your client has been violent with me and my daughter in the past, as in my petition. It is stated that in 2021, he forcibly grabbed she was 1, maybe 2 at that point, and held her in place while she's screaming, "Please let me go to mommy," and he won't let her go. He has also chased me around the living room while holding her and pushed my mother out of the way, trying to get to me and her. He's also put his hands on me, pushing me out of the way. I'm hearing an echo again, and I'm trying to be calm, and it's
Okay. I don't know if everybody's getting too close to their microphones. We were getting a little bit of that too with you, Ms. Boyd.
Let me just switch. I'm going to switch the sound over. This might be helpful if I take this off.
Right now, you're perfectly clear. But
is that better?
That's fine.
Okay.
I also stated in my petition that in December 2020 and August 2021, the respondent was overdosed with drugs 2 different occasions, where I was left at home with my daughter and him by myself, and I had to choose to take her out or watch him bang his head back and forth in the shower, leaving blood all over the bathroom in the bedroom. And I had to call his witnesses that are sitting in that room to come here and help me hold Liza while he's in there seizing. Let me calm down. That happened 2 different times, that I had to call 911 and an ambulance come pick up my husband because he was so overdosed and seizing, he could not get out of it.
What does that have to do with being violent? Can we back up? I recognize you read the petition. I'm asking about, it says father has been violent with her and her daughter in the past. Can you tell me what that means? He hit you? I just did. I did explain every single time to you. Did he hit you is what I'm asking. He pushed me. He pushed me out of the way. He pushed my mother in front of me. He chased me around the living room while holding my daughter, screaming at me, and pushed my mother out of the way so he couldn't get to me. My mother. And when did this take place, allegedly? This took place. We were in the new house, so it was 2021 at some point, maybe in the summer. My mother will testify as a witness if she has to, but I thought that we were going to be able to work this out without it turning into this, so I did not bring any witnesses. I'm sorry, you said it happened in summer 2021?
Yes.
Did you call the police? That sounds very traumatic.
No, I didn't because I wanted to
You have
protect
them
my
arrested at all for pushing you or
Okay,
assaulting you?
Ms. Boyd, I heard the
Yes.
witness still responding to your question. Please let her finish her answers before you ask your next question.
Yes, Judge.
All right, finish your answer, ma'am.
I did not call the police because I was trying to protect my husband and I did not want something to happen to him.
You also allege that my client was, I feel like I shouldn't have to address it, but because it's in the petition, we can touch on it. You allege that he was avoiding service. Did you ever send over, you knew of me being in the case, the modification? Did you ever send over a copy of the petition and ask him to acknowledge service?
Yes.
Where did you send that to?
July 27th, when you reached out to me personally asking for it and I sent it directly back to you and you never accepted service. And then you
That's
shut
his case. We absolutely accepted service, right? Because we wouldn't be here.
The court record shows that acknowledgement of service was filed with the court on August 7th.
I was not made aware of that. All
Okay, well,
Mr. Hill made me aware
believe
of.
me, as Ms. Boyd just said, we would not be having a hearing if he had not been served or acknowledged service. So let's move on to something else.
Okay.
Okay. You also said in 2021 that my client forcibly grabbed Eliza, screaming at her and
Yeah.
would not let her go. You called the police that time, right? That sounds pretty serious.
No, I did not.
Did you file a TPO then?
I did not. I was married to my husband and we were in counseling and trying to make it work. I was trying to protect my. No, I did not.
Okay. And then you alleged some things about December 2020 and August 2021.
Yes.
In December 2020, isn't that an edible that you gave him? Weren't you also under the influence? I'm sorry, that's
So-
two questions.
No worries. Yes, I had 2 gummies and Nick went back up and grabbed a handful of gummies and then brought me up to the room saying, I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on, and was very overdosed while I was fine. So yes, I did.
Okay.
And I was
And
able
then
to.
August
Sorry.
2021, the other,
Excuse me, Ms. Boyd, just for the education of the court, what was the consistency of these gummies?
Weed.
Okay. Edibles.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I just want to clarify for the record what gummies can be candy. So I just want to clarify.
that's very true.
No, Mr. Who was very aware that they were not just candy.
And then in August 2021, you said there was some sort of overdose. That was a CBD cookie sold at the store, correct?
Correct, that he did not read the instructions and ate the whole thing when the instructions clearly said to have a 6th. And he ate the whole thing and came home driving home from work to me and Eliza home alone on a ×6 cookie, and then told me, Katie, this is happening again. I can feel it. It's happening. So I called the store that he bought it from and asked what he should do because he ate the whole thing. And they said, oh my God, he should have never done that. Try to tell him that he's still here, maybe get him in the shower with some cold water that would wake him up. So that's why I walked him to the bathroom and he just face plants into the tub. And I have to take Eliza outside and call 911 because it's just us here.
Any more cross-examination?
I'm just taking a look at my notes. Judge, I think that's all from her.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the documents other than the counselor's letter have been admitted on the plaintiff's side or petitioner's side. Is there any further evidence that you wish to present at this time, Ms. Moorcraft?
At this time, no, sir.
Okay, all right, Ms. Boyd moves to your side to proceed.
I would like to call the counselor first. Is that okay, Judge?
Okay, I just wanted to get her out of here. She's here as a professional to try and get her
Yeah.
back to work.
Thank you. First, I'd like to ask, when we sent out that subpoena, we also requested that you bring with you all of the records dealing with Eliza, the child at issue here. Did you bring those with you?
I did not.
Okay, but you're aware you're under subpoena to bring those records. Do they exist?
They do. I was given less than 48 hours to appear and to produce those records. I need more time to do that simply. I had to cancel and rearrange clients very last minute. And so I simply did not have time to gain and collect and produce all of those records in that short period of time.
I'd like to share my screen. Well, Judge, I don't know how you'd like to deal with it because I think the records are important. Unless you know, do you know everything about these parties by heart?
Was that, excuse me, was that directed at me?
Yes.
Yeah, it was definitely not directed at me.
Oh, okay.
I know she had asked me earlier, and I will leave it to you to proceed, Ms. Boyd. if you feel these are vital, I mean, if you have certain records, you know, certainly you could have filed them with the court as well. But if you feel that the importance is there, that they have to be brought by her and have her a chance to review them, because you may get answers like, I don't recall, I don't know.
Right.
So
I just want
if
to
you
pull up the
can-
letter. I think we can, for the purposes of this hearing, I think we can go forward.
Okay, if you don't, then all I could do would be to reset it, and I won't be back on the bench until 2 weeks from 3 weeks from now, actually.
Judge, I think we'll be fine.
Okay, all right, you may proceed.
Thank you. I'd like to pull, well, I don't know, we admitted it under Ms. Morecraft's evidence. I had it marked as well. But I'd like to pull the letter and go over it with her to see if we can get it
Do
out.
you remember how you labeled it, or? Oh,
Okay, Ms. Parker, this is a letter that Ms. Morecraft entered into evidence. Did you write this letter?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to talk about the information that's here. Judge, when you're ready, because I'd like you to at least have
go
the
ahead.
chance to look at it.
Go ahead with your
Okay.
examination.
Okay, so it says here that you started seeing Eliza for the first time May of this year. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And between May and what looks to be June 19th, you saw her 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So prior to June 19th, had Eliza made any complaints about any abuse taking place in the home?
No.
Okay. The first allegation of abuse came from whom?
The first concern came from Ms. Morecraft.
Okay. And since then, it looks like you said you spoke with Eliza on June 29th.
Uh,
29th or 19th?
Well, it says June
20
29th, she met with Eliza. If you scroll down just a little.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see it right at the bottom. I apologize. All right, so that's
Mhm.
total of 5 visits then, right?
In total, yes, it looks like.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just didn't see the 29th.
No worries, Judge.
All right, go
So
ahead.
on June 29th, you met with Eliza, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. When you spoke with Eliza, was she alone?
She was with her mother, Ms. Morecraft.
Did you speak with her at any time by herself?
Very briefly, Ms. Morecraft went to the restroom at one point during the session, but the rest of the session was with both of them present.
Okay. And it says here that the child reported that her father hit her on the bottom.
Correct.
Was that while Ms. Morecraft was present or when she was by herself?
While Ms. Morecraft was present, I believe.
Do you recall whether or not you asked Eliza if anybody told her to say that?
I did not.
Okay. And you said she's never reported any type of abuse prior to then.
No, ma'am.
Did Eliza complain of any scratches on her?
No, ma'am.
Did Eliza allege that her dad scratched her on her neck or her back?
No. I think it's important to note that I am not an investigator. Therefore, when a child or I have any suspicion or concern for child abuse or neglect, I am a mandated reporter. So I simply make a defects report and leave that up to the department.
So you made a defects report about this one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what date did you do that?
I believe I made it on the
And
19th.
what were the allegations in defects, just to be clear?
This was based off of Ms. Morecraft's communications with me. She had alleged that Eliza had returned home to her and had reported to her that dad had hit her.
Okay, so you had not seen or spoken with the minor child before making the defects report?
No, ma'am.
Okay. It also says that she presented as very uncomfortable and dysregulated, which
Correct.
you had not previously observed with Eliza.
Correct.
And in your experience, what is that indicative of?
It could be so many things. It's hard to determine. I just noticed a pattern and that this was different than her normal behavior.
And what is her normal behavior?
She was often very warm and open to coming into the playroom. She is very explorative of the room, generally pretty calm, pretty regulated.
Okay. Have you had a situation where a child was directed to talk to you about something?
I apologize, I don't understand the question.
Okay. Have you had a situation where there was an allegation from a parent that the child did not substantiate?
Like I said, my job as a therapist is not to investigate abuse. So
Let me rephrase it. I'm gonna rephrase it. I'm not asking you to investigate. I'd like to know if her uncomfortableness can be due to her having to say things she did not want to say.
I don't know.
And you have no idea if that's a possibility.
I don't.
Okay, I don't have any other questions. Oh, can I see the second page? I'm sorry before I do that. Okay. No other questions, sure.
Okay. All right, Ms. Moorcraft, do you have any questions of this witness?
I do, sir.
All right. Be sure to put it in the form of a question and not a statement.
Yes, sir. All right, so Ms. Parker, when I reached out to you for therapy for Eliza in April, do you remember a little more specifically what Eliza was struggling with?
I believe it was the concerns regarding the transition with the new parenting plan.
On May 30th, you and Mr. Hu and Eliza had an hour appointment, but for the first 30 minutes, you met with Mr. Hu individually and asked me to come stay inside with Eliza so that you could speak to him. Can you tell me why that was when it was supposed to be scheduled an hour with both of them together?
I believe I had some concerns about some correspondence via email that Mr. Hu had sent to myself and Ms. Moorcraft that I didn't believe was helpful to a healthy co-parenting relationship. So it was just something that I wanted to address, and we spoke about. I kind of expressed again the importance of a healthy co-parenting relationship for the child. And so we just had discussed that. And I had asked Ms. Moorcraft to come because I didn't want Eliza to be present for that. I didn't find that it was appropriate for the child to hear that conversation. And I didn't want her to have to wait in the waiting room alone due to her age.
Of course, thank you. Do you remember me calling you July 19th afternoon, very concerned about what Eliza had expressed to me?
Yes.
Do you remember me saying to you and talking about that I did not want to file for the TPO until CPS was at least able to get back to me or you about the concern that was brought to us, and that maybe we didn't even have to go this route?
Judge, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that she's testifying for her.
It ultimately ended up as a question of, do you remember? But you need to start it as a question and finish it as a question without expressing your testimony in between.
Okay. Did
You
you
can ask her
see-
what she recalls of that conversation.
Yeah, can you recall a little bit of the conversation that you and I had on the 19th?
You had called and had reported to me what you had previously stated about the allegations. I provided space for you to talk about that. I did also remind Ms. Moorcraft that I am a mandated reporter, and that I said, civilians, anyone can make a defects report as well. So if you felt like it was necessary to make a report, that you could certainly do so on your own. And I believe I provided the number for the child abuse and neglect hotline number.
Right. Do you remember talking about a temporary restraining order at all?
Yes, I think that was something that you had brought up.
Okay. Do you remember how many times I called you asking if CPS had called back before I filed for the TPO?
I do not.
Can you give us a range of 0 to maybe 5 or maybe 100, just 0 or something?
It was several times, more than once. I don't recall an exact number.
Yep, no problem. Miss Boyd already asked that question. I do just want to ask again, what did Eliza say to you when you asked her if this had happened before?
I don't recall
Judge, it's
asking
hearsay anyway.
that.
but it's fine.
Okay, hold on, Ms. Parker. The objection is hearsay.
Okay.
Well, we'll move on then. I'll sustain the objection.
Ms. Parker, can you describe Eliza's demeanor during the appointment, especially when speaking about her dad? And I'm sorry, let me clarify the last appointment that we had.
As I had previously reported, she was pretty dysregulated throughout most of the session. I observed her asking if she could go home, which was something that I had not heard from her before. Often wanting to be very close to mom, hiding behind mom at times, things of that nature.
I think that's all I have
Okay.
for Ms. Parker.
All right. Any recross, Ms. Boyd?
Just a couple, Judge.
Well, I say recross, technically redirect.
Redirect. Yes, Judge, just a couple. Ma'am, this secret meeting that you had with Mr. Who about something that was inappropriate as it relates to co-parenting, was it about abuse at all?
No,
Did it have anything to do with him hitting Eliza or abusing her in any way?
no. And it wasn't
Okay.
a secret. I want to clarify that it wasn't a secret meeting. It just was something that I felt was more appropriate to discuss individually. So.
Okay, and then the other question, we just talked about what Eliza's behavior was indicative of, and you testified that you can't say. So instead of asking whether or not children do that when they're forced to lie, so to speak, I'd like to know, in your experience, do children act that way when they've been abused?
I'm not sure I
I said
understand
yes.
that question.
I'm sorry, Judge, could you repeat yourself?
I said, I'm not sure I understand the
but-
question. It's a
Yeah.
multi-part question. If you could break it up, I'd appreciate it.
I sure will. So, Ms. Parker here, it is Ms. Parker, right?
Yes.
Testified that she's not an investigator and that the child's behavior, she does not know what it means. She just observed that that was the behavior. I'm asking her, does that apply for whether or not it indicated some sort of abuse?
Yes,
So it applies the same. You don't know why she was acting like that.
correct.
Okay, no further questions.
Ms. Moorcraft, do you have the opportunity? Do you have any recross that you wish to ask?
No, thank you, sir.
Okay, may this witness be excused.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to clarify, nobody needs you to testify again. All right, and you may be excused.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms.
Okay, Judge, I'd like to call Mr. Johnson.
Okay, without getting into too much detail as far as your witnesses, I just want to make sure we're not going to hear redundant testimony from, this is unusual to have this many witnesses here, so that's why I'm asking in advance, if each one has something
Well, I
separate
think-
to testify to,
Yes,
and do they
each of
have
these
personal knowledge?
witnesses were with Mr. Who and Eliza at some point during the weekend.
Okay, that particular weekend,
Correct,
the June 16th, 18th, 19th, whatever.
correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
I think I left out the 17th.
Right, the 17th through the 16th through the 9th, something like that, Judge. The
Okay.
16th through the,
All right.
that's it.
I just want to make sure we weren't going to stretch out this hearing, hearing the same thing over and over.
I'm gonna make it so that 5 minutes each, if that.
Okay, thank you. Of course, you know,
You're welcome.
lawyers, we never were good at estimating how many questions we were going to ask or how long it was going to take.
Now, that part might be true. You wanna, is Mr. Johnson? We might need to start, can we start with Miss Johnson? Let's do that. Ricky Johnson.
Okay, well,
Okay, let me switch it out. I'm sorry.
Okay. And what's your relationship to Mr. Who?
He's my cousin-in-law.
Okay. Do you know why you're here today?
Yes.
Okay. So there are some allegations that Mr. Who hit Eliza sometime between June 16th and June 18th or 19th, somewhere in there. Did you happen to spend any time with Eliza and Nicholas during that time?
Yes, they were at my house for a couple of hours on June 17th, the Saturday.
And what were they doing while they were there?
Eliza pretty much comes over. She was playing with her cousin. She showed me a whole slew of monster trucks that seemed to never end. And she was just pretty much playing around the house, showing me her cartwheels and regular 3-year-old stuff. Nick was pretty much helping put together a lot of her toys, and she pretty much was between down here with us in the living room watching cartoons and upstairs with her cousins playing.
How many times have you been around Eliza?
Oh, I've been around Eliza several times, pretty much since the beginning.
Would you say that you recognize if she was upset about something?
Within normal 3-year-old parameters or type of parameters, yeah.
Okay. Did Eliza seem to be distraught at all while she was there with you?
No, she wasn't.
Did you witness Mr. Who hit Eliza in any way?
No,
Have you ever witnessed Mr. Who hit Eliza?
no,
Has Mr. Who ever said that he hit Eliza?
no.
Okay. There's another allegation out there about an overdose incident. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us, the court, about that?
So I did receive a call a couple of years ago by Katie, Miss Moorcraft, that Nick was having a seizure in the bathroom, and she called me to ask me if I can come help her out.
She said he was having a seizure.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you known Miss Moorcraft to take drugs?
I don't know that to be a fact about her.
Okay. Have you known of her to offer Nicholas any drugs?
None that I know of.
Okay. Were you present when this happened? Did you go over to see how Mr. Who was doing with this alleged seizure?
Yeah, when I got there, he was already, the seizure or whatever was going on was already in place. So I think about 20 to 30 minutes after her phone call is when I got there.
Okay. And he was fine?
No, he was having some sort of episode, like the seizure that she described.
Oh, so some sort of medical emergency.
Yeah, something was going on.
Objection.
Hold on a second. What do you say, ma'am?
We were very clear.
Okay, no, whoa. Do you have an objection? Yes or no?
I do. She's asking a question that she knows the answer to.
Okay, I said it has to be a legal objection.
Okay, my apologies, sir.
Okay, all right, objection overruled. You may proceed, ma'am.
Have you ever known Nicholas to be violent toward Katie?
Violent now.
Okay. Has Nicholas ever said that he's been violent toward Miss Moorcraft?
No,
Has Miss Moorcraft ever called you and said that Nicholas was violent towards her,
no,
but she felt the need to call and tell you about a seizure?
yes.
Okay. No other questions.
All right, now, Ms. Moorcraft, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do. Ms. Johnson, do you remember why I called you on the day of Nick's overdose that seemed like he was seizing?
Yes.
Why did I call you?
You told me that he was having some sort of seizure.
But why did I call you?
Why
Judge,
did you call me
ask him, sir.
specifically?
Okay, I think the question's slightly different, dude. All right, go ahead.
Why did I call you, Ricky?
You mean her in particular to the
Yeah.
exclusion of all other people?
Yes, because
Okay,
yeah.
okay, well, I just want to clarify the question so she can answer it.
sorry, yes, sir.
She either knows or doesn't know.
I don't think I know why you called me specifically, honestly.
Do you remember more specifically Mr. Who's condition upon arrival?
Yes.
Can you go into detail?
When I got there, I remember hearing, I think Eliza was crying, and I think he was in the bathroom in the tub flailing when I got there.
Do you remember telling me he was about to drown himself?
I remember the water being on, and I remember us turning it off because I didn't want him to drown. Yes.
I don't have the exact date, but it was, probably 2 years ago. It was when we were still married. Ricky, do you remember a conversation about a mental disorder that Mr. Who has?
No, I honestly don't.
Okay, I have the conversation.
Okay.
But that's okay. I need to ask some questions. I'm sorry. So during the weekend of 6/16 through 6/19 total, how long did you spend with Eliza?
I think Eliza was over here maybe 2 hours. I know it wasn't more than 3, so about 2, maybe 2.5 hours.
So you were in presence of her for just 2 hours through the whole weekend and was happy and playing as normal with her cousins. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
I've phrased most of these wrong, Judge, so I apologize for taking an extra second to try to rephrase it. There was another night, Ricky, that you and I spoke. Okay, that's not a question. Do you remember talking about Nick chasing me around the living room?
He's testifying again.
That's a
honestly-
question. That's a question. I'm gonna overrule the objection.
I don't remember that conversation.
She's got her own cross, so she can lead her.
Okay, so I have messages from my conversation with you, Ricky, as well.
Okay.
And so we definitely did speak about that. And
That's testifying. Do you have something you want to show?
so I did not upload our conversation. Again, I was hoping that me and Miss Boyd could get somewhere before it's gotten
Okay,
to. Oh, no.
we're here. Let's don't talk about what we wish happened.
Yes, sir. Understood. No, I do not.
I
have
wish
the-
y'all had worked it out as well.
Yep, understood. So no, Ms. Johnson, that's all I have.
Okay, any redirect? Ms. Boyd,
Just one. You said that, just one. Ms. Johnson, you said when you got there after the overdose situation, he was flailing in the tub. Was there any violence when you got there?
I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
Violence. Was he
no.
violent with Ms. Moorcraft? Was he violent with Eliza?
No, Ms. Moorcraft and Eliza were behind me and I was kind of in the bathroom with Nick at the time.
Did either of them say that he had been violent leading up to you getting there?
No.
Okay, nothing further.
Can we confirm what the word violent means? Because if he's flailing around the
okay,
bathtub.
hold on.
Yep, sorry.
Do you want to ask a question? You have a right to recross here, but if you want a clarification, you can do so through your cross-examination.
Okay, I would like a clarification then of what we're calling violent because, yeah,
Okay,
I'd like a
you have
clarification.
to ask of the witness.
Oh, the question is to me? I don't,
She can't ask questions of Ms. Boyd, so you're the only one
Okay.
that can ask questions of.
I don't consider what I saw violence because he was contained in the bathtub. So to me, violence is when there's harm inflicted on somebody else around him.
But so before you got here and I and Eliza were the ones taking care of him, there was no violence going on?
I can't speak on what happened
Ms.
if I wasn't
Moorcraft,
there.
yeah, she answered the question. She can't speculate as to what happened before she got there. She can only
Okay.
testify as to what she saw or heard.
Okay, why do you think I called you, Ricky? Why would I call you?
She's already asked that question.
I don't know.
That's been asked and answered.
Okay, I have no further questions.
All right, may this witness be excused.
Yes.
All right, ma'am, you can leave the meeting if you wish.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, do you know why you're here?
Yes.
Okay, were you with Eliza and Mr. Who sometime during the weekend of June 16th?
Yes. That was Father's Day weekend. Yes.
Were you with either of them at any time that Miss Johnson was not?
No, not really. If my wife probably went in the room or something for a quick second, but for the most part, we was kind of together.
She went to the store during this time, right?
She did what? I'm sorry.
You were breaking up, Ms. Boyd.
Yeah.
Did Miss Johnson go to the store at some point while you were there with Mr. Who and Eliza?
To be honest, I don't remember.
I can't hear you.
He said he doesn't
I said
remember.
to be honest, I don't remember. I just remember us being in the living room, and I know that Eliza go upstairs to play with my sons, and then she also came downstairs with Nick, and we was putting together a whole bunch of toys and stuff. So for the most part, I remember her being there, but if she might have went to the store for a quick second, I remember.
Well, Judge, it sounds like they were there for the same time period.
All right. You have the right to ask questions, but it appears that any testimony might be redundant with previous witness. Do you wish to ask him anything?
I do. Mr. Johnson, have you ever had to have conversations with Nick about parenting?
Yes.
Do you remember how many times you've stopped talking to Nick for periods of time because of his actions?
For parenting, no.
Okay. Do you know, no, sorry, let me rephrase. Do you remember me having to call you when Nick was overdosed for the second time with just me and Eliza home alone?
No, you didn't call me. My wife called me, and I happened to be down the street. So
Your phone is breaking up. We can't hear you.
Is it in my headset?
Okay, hold on. Sir, are you driving right now? Are you?
I pulled over.
Yeah, please pull over and be stationary. I don't want to have a wreck happen.
Yeah, I'm not even. Yeah, I'm not moving at all. So yeah, I'm not moving at all. So
Okay, I just want to make sure you weren't moving down the road and
no,
not paying attention to traffic.
I'm not.
We have had that.
Yeah, no,
You are breaking up.
Yeah,
Signal is not good.
okay.
Any other questions, Ms. Moorcraft?
So just during the weekend of 6/16 through 6/19, how long did you spend with Eliza total?
That weekend probably like an hour and a little bit, maybe a little bit over an hour, maybe 2 hours, something like that. Not long though. That's usually our time that we spend with Eliza.
No worries. Yeah, no
Okay,
further questions.
let me ask the court reporter, were you able to pick that up, Madam Court Reporter?
Yeah, just for the most part I did, but he was breaking up a
Yeah,
bit.
I
sorry.
heard an hour to two at the most. All right. Okay, was there anything else you said, sir? I need to make sure the court
No.
reporter is able to take it down.
Yeah, I said an hour, two at the most, but usually that's our time when it comes over and we spend with Eliza.
Okay, you got it.
The times you stopped talking to Nicholas Who, did it have anything to do with Mr. Who abusing, hitting, assaulting, being violent with Miss Moorcraft?
No.
Did it have anything to do with him being violent in any way to Eliza?
No.
Have you ever known him to be violent toward Miss Moorcraft or Eliza?
No.
I'm sorry?
No. I'm sorry.
He said no.
He hasn't.
Okay. And has Miss Moorcraft ever told you that Mr. Who was violent toward him or Eliza?
No.
Okay, nothing further.
Any other questions, Ms. Moorcraft?
Yes. Mr. Johnson, have you ever been told or heard of Mr. Who being emotionally and verbally abusive towards me and or Eliza?
Judge, I'm gonna go ahead and object because
Hold on, sir. Okay, what's your objection?
It's not in the statute, Judge. It's a family violence hearing. And it's nothing about emotional or verbal that comes in with a protective order.
Well, it is one of the
Sorry.
elements, can be one of the elements or two of the elements of an overall picture of family violence. So I'll allow the question. Objection overruled.
Okay. No. Katie, me and you don't really talk. So if we do talk, it's always on up and up. It's never about any issues.
Fair answer. Thank you, sir.
All right, does that conclude your questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, may this witness be excused.
Yes, I'd like to call Ms. Winfield. Okay. And what's your relationship to Mr. Who?
We dated for a while. We've been friends.
Okay. Your friends? Are you aware of why you're here?
Yes.
There are some allegations
Okay.
about the weekend of June. I keep missing these dates. The weekend of June 16th. Were you around Mr. Who and or Eliza anytime during the weekend of June 16th?
Yes, on Sunday, June 18th.
Can you tell us about that day, the time that you were around?
I was with them most of the day. We started at Mr. Who's house. It was Father's Day. We went to Oi to get breakfast, and then we went to Legoland. After Legoland, we went to Target to get blankets because we went to see The Little Mermaid. After we went to see The Little Mermaid, Eliza wanted to go to the pool in his neighborhood. So I went and got her a swimsuit and a life jacket so that she could go swimming. And then we went to the pool, and the day kind of ended like around like 6:37, something like that.
And this was Sunday, the 18th?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Please answer
During that
yes or
time-
no
Oh,
for the
yes,
purpose, for
yes,
the benefit
sorry.
of the court reporter.
Yes, that was Sunday the 18th.
During that time frame, did you witness Mr. Who hit Eliza?
No, I did not witness him hit Eliza.
Did Eliza complain about being hit by Mr. Who?
Hold on a second, sorry, I'm at work.
Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't understand the answer. It's breaking up.
No, I'm sorry. The announcement came on. I'm at work. This was just the best internet connection for me. No, I did not hear or see Eliza complain that Mr. Who had hit her.
Did she appear to be distraught at all during the time you were around?
No, Eliza was playful the whole day. She was sleepy before the movie, and then she got up and she started watching the movie. She wasn't sad or anything the entire day.
And you've been around Eliza and Mr. Who before the Father's Day, am I right?
Yes.
Have you ever witnessed Mr. Who hit Eliza?
No, I've never seen him be inappropriate with her or hit her.
Have you ever seen Eliza be distraught or disturbed in the presence of Mr. Who?
No, I've never, not in my presence. No, I have never seen or witnessed her being distraught or upset
What
or
about
anything.
scared? Have you
No,
witnessed her being scared or saying anything that would indicate that she's fearful of Mr. Who?
absolutely not. She is very playful when I'm around. I mean, I just don't know when I've never seen her upset or anything like that.
Okay, no further questions.
And any
Okay.
cross-examination, Ms. Moorcraft?
Yes, sir. So can you please clarify for me your relationship to Mr. Who?
We were friends, we dated, and then we're friends again.
So you're no longer dating, you're just friends.
No.
Okay, I get it the first time, Ms. Moorcraft. You don't have to restate the same question.
Yes, sir, understood. Can you please tell me why you would spend Father's Day with Nick and his daughter?
It
Objection.
was just,
I'm gonna go ahead and object because I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Well, you brought the witness. I think she's entitled to thorough and sifting cross-examination. I'll overrule the objection.
Okay, let's hear it.
we just decided to spend time together. Eliza and I have like hung out before, and I wanted her to do something nice for her father. So I just volunteered to, help her, decide on a gift, and then I got the gift, and then we just spent the day together. There was no other reason other than just wanting her to do something nice for her father.
Okay, so sorry, to clarify, you were dating the weekend of 6/16 to 6/19.
Yes,
Okay, so just past that, you guys have stopped dating.
yes.
Okay. On your statement, it never says you went home. Can you tell me when you left Mr. Who's house?
Monday morning.
I may
But-
need a judge.
Okay, just move on. Ask
Can
your
you
question.
tell me where you slept, Miss Winfield?
On the floor.
So where
Not
did your
argue
daughter
with the
sleep?
witness.
Your daughter slept with Mr. Who in his bed.
Copy.
Okay.
Can you tell me how much time before the weekend of 6/16 through 19 that you've spent with my daughter?
Sometime the end of last year. Sorry, Judge, I don't have
Were we
like.
divorced?
Okay, please don't interrupt the witness while she's answering.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I'm not totally sure, but we did hang out, or we were getting to know one another around the end of last.
So
year.
sorry to confirm that was you with my daughter, not Mr. Who. You started seeing my
Oh.
daughter the end of last year.
I may have seen her like once the end of last year. I can't tell you how many times. I only recall us being around each other 3 or 4 times, just to my memory.
Okay, so I want to just confirm because it's my understanding Eliza does not have a bed in her father's room. So, right?
Well, there has been a bed in the
Why do you sleep
room
on the floor?
okay.
because I had.
Hold
Can I do the relevant
hold on,
thing?
everybody. Hold on.
Okay, Judge.
Zoom is a terrible way to try cases. There's
I
a
agree.
delay and everybody starts talking
Okay.
over each other, and it is absolutely impossible for the court reporter to put it down on record. It's absolutely impossible for me to hear 3 voices talking at once. Sometimes it's just an overlap, but give it a second before you start talking. Make sure it's quiet, please, before you start talking. Everybody. All right. Now, what was your question again about a bed in the room or something?
To your knowledge, is there a bed in the room?
And what is the relevance of that question to what we're here about today?
Eliza having her own space to go to when
That's
her
not what we're here about today, ma'am. I'm not in charge of custody. I'm here
Understood.
about domestic violence. So I'm gonna sustain the objection by counsel. Let's move on to something relevant to your petition.
I have no further questions, sir.
Okay, any redirect, Ms. Boyd?
No, I think I asked everything.
Okay, I have a question, Ms. Winfield. You said that y'all parted ways Monday morning. Is that the time in which Eliza was returned to her mother?
Oh, I'm not sure. He took her to my knowledge, he was taking her to school.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I don't know all the terms of their exchanges and that sort of thing. So
Yeah, I don't
know she
know.
went to school that morning.
Well, that's what they told me. He
Okay.
was telling me he was going to take her to school.
Okay. Did you see any incident on that Sunday in which she could have received scratches on her back or her neck or collarbone area from anything, whether it was accidental, playful, or middle of play, or by some
No,
action
sir.
by any person?
No, sir. And then when we
Okay.
got in the pool, she didn't complain of any like thing being hurt. I can imagine that would hurt if we got in the pool.
Okay. All right. You may be excused.
Does that mean I'm
Thank you.
dismissed? I can leave?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, I would like to call Ms. Gordon, the last one, Judge. Hi, Ms. Gordon. And you know why you're here?
I do.
Okay, what's your relation? I'm sorry, Judge, you're gonna wait. Okay, what's your relationship to Mr. Who?
He's my cousin and we're roommates also.
Your roommates.
Yes.
So you were around Eliza and Mr. Who at any point on the weekend of June 16th?
Yes. Sunday, the 18th, I was home all day on that day. Friday night and Saturday night, I was working. Saturday during the day, I think I was out and about. So I wasn't really at home, but I was home all day on Sunday.
Did you sleep at home on those nights?
Friday night and Saturday night, yes, but I didn't get in until well after everybody else was asleep because I work nights.
Okay, and then Sunday you saw Mr. Who and Eliza, is that right?
Yes, briefly.
And you've known Eliza for how long?
Her entire life.
Would you say that you would know if something was wrong with Eliza?
I would say so. Yeah, for the most part.
Did you witness Eliza being distraught in any way that Sunday that you were there?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you witness her being in fear of Mr. Who at all?
Definitely no. I've never seen that.
Did you? Okay, I'm gonna be a little bit more direct here. Have you witnessed Mr. Who hit Eliza over that weekend?
Never. No.
Have you ever witnessed him hit Eliza?
Sorry, correction. Yes, I've never witnessed that. No, I did not witness it on that weekend.
Okay. Did you hear? So can you explain to me how far away your room is from Mr. Who and where Eliza sleeps?
Our bedrooms are joined, not joined, but like the bathroom sort of is our wall, but it's, it's not soundproof or anything like that. So, I mean, our bedroom doors are maybe 8 feet apart.
Have there been times where you can hear Eliza laughing and playing when she's there?
All the time. Yeah. Whether
So
she's
this
in the
weekend
living
in
room or
particular,
sorry.
I'm sorry, one more
So I was
time.
saying, because I can hear when they're in the living room and also when they're in the bedroom. Yes.
So this weekend in particular, did you hear her doing any crying and screaming?
I mean, Eliza cries, like, I mean, she's a very happy child, but she does also cry and get emotional sometimes very easily. So to say I've never heard her cry would absolutely be a falsehood, but not anything that was out that would cause concern.
Are you a mandated reporter?
Not at this time, but I have been.
And you have experience in children being abused?
Yes, I used to be a paraprofessional counselor for at-risk youth.
Okay. And in your experience, have you seen anything in Eliza that indicates that Mr. Who has been abusive towards her?
No, I have not.
Okay. Over that weekend, did you babysit Eliza at all?
No, I did not.
Have you babysitted her in the past?
Yeah, I used to babysit her when she was, I'm going to say under 1, I think. I don't remember. It was during the pandemic. So it was at 2020. So probably I think she was under 1 at that time.
Okay. Okay, well, she couldn't talk. I don't think I have any other question. Oh, go ahead, Judge, I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay, I don't think I
I was just
have any
waiting.
other question.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it. You said you've never seen him be abusive in any way toward Eliza. What about Ms. Moorcraft? Have you ever seen him be abusive or violent toward Ms. Moorcraft?
No, I have not.
Has Ms. Moorcraft ever told you that he was abusive?
No, she's not.
What about Eliza? Has she?
Has Eliza told me? No. No, she's
Okay.
not.
Nothing further, Judge.
All right. Any cross-examination, Ms. Moorcraft?
Yes, sir. So when you did watch Eliza when she was a baby, can you tell us what name you went by?
I mean,
Judge.
I'm not sure the relevance, but my name is Camille Talicia Gordon. My
What
family
name
calls
did you
me Talicia, but my first name, my legal first name is Camille. But I also go by Talicia in personal settings.
So when you were first watching our child when she was 1, what name did you go by?
What's the
I
relevance?
don't understand the
ma'am?
question.
Okay, hold on, ma'am. What is the relevance, Ms. Moorcraft?
My 3-year-old was watched by this lady and terrified by cousin Talicia, and now knows her as cousin Camille. I'm so sorry, cousin Camille. And
Okay.
I think that's a point to note that she's used 2 different names in this scenario. That's it.
Okay, I'm not sure the relevance, but go ahead. I mean, something other than the name.
Yes, sir. Go ahead with something else. Miss Camille, can you describe to me how the first visit went when you were watching Eliza?
I mean,
Wait,
honestly,
wait a minute, ma'am. Are you talking about when she was an infant under the age of 1?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, no relevance. Move on.
Okay.
We're here about what you filed in a petition, ma'am. We're not here about something that happened when the child was an infant and a third party involved in it. That's all. We're here about
I totally understand that, sir. My questions, I guess, are trying to come from a pattern of behavior. So I apologize that my questions are not correct. But that's the only reason I was trying to go back. So during the weekend of 6/16 through 6/19, how long did you personally spend with Eliza?
not much time.
So less than an hour, 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
Less than an hour for sure, because I had a migraine and I was in my bedroom, but I could hear and I was present to what was going on, but I was not personally interacting with Eliza.
Okay, well, I don't understand that. You're in your bedroom with a migraine, but how are you hearing and present?
Because my ears still work.
She's already testified that she could hear what was going on in other rooms.
Yes, sir, but she just said she was laying in bed with a migraine, and that was the first time we've heard that.
Doesn't mean she couldn't hear.
Well, okay, I've had bad migraines before. No problem. So that was previous. So yeah, can you describe to us what you do for work?
What is the relevance?
Ma'am,
That you're not around during
you don't
the
get to ask the relevant questions.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay. If
It's not
Ms.
funny,
Hold
actually.
on, if Ms. Boyd thinks it's irrelevant, I'm sure she'll let me know.
Okay. I have a few different positions.
I don't think it's relevant, Judge. She's not.
Okay.
She doesn't.
Well,
She said she used to be-
you did raise the question of her being a mandated reporter. So since
Right,
you
and
opened that
she-
can of worms, I'll let her cross-examine her on it. You opened it up.
Okay.
I did say I'm not currently a mandated reporter.
I heard everything you said. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. You said you
Okay.
used to be for at-risk children, a parapro.
Yes.
Okay, so since the issue of your employment was raised on direct, she's allowed to cross-examine you on those same issues.
Sure. Okay. So, 1, I am a program manager for Mr. Who's company. Number 2, I'm a front of house manager at a restaurant downtown. Number 3, I'm a social media manager for a media company in California.
No wonder you have a headache. 3 jobs.
And which of those do you work at night?
Front of house manager for the restaurant.
Okay, and so that's what you would stay late at night for and not be home for hours till the middle of the night?
Correct.
I'm trying to clarify. So then when you get home in the middle of the night, ma'am, do you sleep when you get home?
Yes, I shower and I go to sleep.
Okay, and how late do you typically sleep till?
It varies on the day.
For sure, totally. So could you give me an average or an about?
Okay. All right, Ms. Moorcraft, I've given you free reign for a little bit, but you haven't narrowed it down. If we're talking about the weekend in question,
Yes.
that's one thing. She's already testified she saw her less than an hour during that weekend. As far as
let
other
her go.
weekends, I have no need to hear anything regarding any other time she may have been there.
Okay, copy that. No further questions.
All right, any redirect, Ms. Boyd?
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, ma'am, you are excused. If you may leave.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to call Mr. Who. Mr. Who, Ms. Moorcraft says you hit Eliza. Is that true?
I have not hit Eliza, nor have I raised my hands towards Eliza.
Do you discipline Eliza in any way?
My form of discipline is pretty much telling her to come here, sitting down and looking at her eye level and telling her what she's done wrong. I do it with an elevated voice. So yes, I do it with an elevated and stirred voice. And bring her close to me,
So why do
sit
you
her
do
higher
that?
level.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No worries, because I just want her basically to focus and pay attention to acknowledge what she's done wrong.
We filed a modification. Was that before or after this TPO allegation came?
It was before the TPO.
Was it a number of days?
Yes, to my knowledge, it was pretty much almost over a week before the TPO.
Okay, I'd like to pull Exhibit 1. This is the petition that you filed. When was it filed? There's a stamp at the top of it.
It was filed June 15th, 2023.
So is that when I should object that she's answering the question for him?
No, she just asked, when was it filed?
She said it's up at the top of the paper.
Okay, so, ma'am, sometimes witnesses can't see everything that they're being asked to see, and they're asked to see, point at a line in a piece of paper, point at something in a picture. That is absolutely nothing incorrect or improper about asking him to look at the top of the document.
Mr. Hu, in this petition, are you asking for more time with Eliza?
Yes,
Are you also asking that Ms. Moorcraft be held in willful contempt?
yes.
Has Ms. Moorcraft ever threatened you about filing a contempt?
Has she threatened me about filing a contempt?
Let me rephrase. Has she had anything to say to you about whether or not, what would happen if you were to file anything? Has she threatened you about starting litigation?
Please
She
don't
has
lead,
not.
please don't lead your witness.
I'm sorry.
She has not.
Okay. All right. I'd like to tender this as Exhibit 1.
Any objection, Ms. Moorcraft?
So I'm sorry, can you say it one more time, Ms. Boyd? I didn't hear your last statement.
She tendered it into evidence, and then
That
you
means
get
it
to
goes
respond
away?
whether you have an objection or not to this document being part of the record.
No, I have no objection. Thank you.
Okay,
for explaining
admitted
so-
without objection. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, Exhibit 2, please. We can actually just come and go through that. And you had the baby that weekend. So this weekend was June 16th. This was filed June 15th. You had the baby 16th, 17th, and 18th.
That's correct.
And
Objection.
this is the
Okay, hold on. What's your objection, ma'am?
This was dated and filed the 22nd, as stated at the top right corner. Not the 15th.
I asked if the petition was filed on the 15th, Ms. Moorcraft.
Okay, what
Well,
we
this
got here is
document-
hold it. What we have here is an entry of appearance. We don't have the petition or the
Yes, we just
Motion
entered the petition. Yes, Judge, we just entered the petition into the record.
right.
And this
And
would
that was dated
demonstrate
what?
the 15th of June.
Okay, and your question to him was, what day did you file the petition, correct?
My question to him, yes, originally was what date was the petition? And
Okay.
it said the 15th. Now the question here, now that this is pulled up, is when did we first hear of an entry in the case? And it says it here.
Which
We've
case?
already been through.
Of which
I'm
case?
sorry.
Which case?
This is an entry in the same case.
I
in the
know that.
petition
You
for
said you
modification.
were asking him, when did he first hear about some case? Are you talking about the TPO?
No, I'm asking whether or not Ms. Moorcraft filed an entry into the modification days after we filed it. This just demonstrates this is when she learned of the case and got into the case. I'm sorry, because we have two cases going on here. This just demonstrates when she learned of the modification.
Objection, that's not a question.
Okay, no, I'm trying to clarify here why we're even going down this road. This is the TPO that I have in front of me. That I have in front of me is my understanding from what I've heard testimony of is the second one that Ms. Moorcraft filed. The previous one was filed and was unable to be served and was then dismissed. So what is the relevance of all of this, whether they overlap by 2 days or what?
Well, Judge, it is our position that Ms. Moorcraft filed this TPO in retaliation, and I'm just trying to establish a
She had already
timeline.
filed
I could
one
really
prior
just
to
put it
this
in
one.
closing. I'm
She already-
sorry?
This is the second TPO. She'd already filed one earlier.
It's the same exact allegations.
Okay, you're right, it is, but I'm trying to get the chronology here, and this has been bugging me for a few minutes. Ms. Moorcraft,
Okay.
when did you file the first TPO that was never served?
First
Approximately.
TPO, my ex parte hearing was held on the 26th, June 26th.
The
June
first one.
26th. Yes, the first one.
Okay, so and then this one was filed.
So it was filed, I think, on the 22nd. And
According
again,
to this says it was filed on July 20th.
correct. So that is the second
Okay,
one.
okay,
So the first
all right.
one, the sheriffs weren't able to serve him, and I was
Okay.
told I couldn't hire a.
All right, I understand now the timing of it, but I'll tell you, don't spend a lot of time on this.
Okay, I'm gonna skip to number 4.
You can
I
argue
explain
it later. You can argue the
Yeah,
date.
I just
all
said,
you
I'm
want
gonna
later.
put it in closing. Okay. Can I see exhibit 4? All right, Mr. Hu. As soon as we filed this, there was a motion for emergency hearing that was filed. I want to know if we responded to it. Do you recognize this document on the screen?
Yes, I recognize this document.
Okay, and in this other case, have we requested a guardian ad litem?
Yes, we have.
Okay, I'm done with Gwinnett County, period.
Okay, I just like to
I'm done
tender
with
this
it.
as exhibit
There's
4. This is the
absolutely no
last one,
need.
Judge.
There's absolutely no need to bring that in here.
Okay, I'd like exhibit 5. Do you recognize this, Mr. Hu?
Yes,
What do you recognize this to be?
this is when we went to Legoland for Father's Day.
Okay, and what date is that? June?
That's June 18th.
And this was during the weekend in question?
Yes,
Was Eliza crying at all during this time?
no,
Objection. She's 3. Come on.
Ma'am, that's not a legal objection. Overruled. It's an observation, ma'am. She asked the question, was she crying? He said no.
Yes,
What
sir.
in the world is objectionable about that?
Nothing, sir. I
Okay.
apologize.
I'd like to go to page 2 of this same exhibit. Can you tell me what that is?
that's me attending Donuts with Daughters at her school on that Friday, the 16th.
Okay, so this is during the weekend in question.
Yes,
Was she distraught at all when she was with you here?
she was not distraught at that current time, but when I had to leave to go basically attend a showcase to come back to get her, she was crying for me not to leave. And I had to have Miss Tanya, who is our teacher, to console her. But I told her I was coming back to come pick her up. That was the only time she was feeling distraught at the time.
Okay. Can I see page 3 here? Can you tell me what this is?
Same event. There was a girl who did not have a parent there, so we decided to share our donuts with each other, me, Eliza, and the child. Same event.
Was she distraught at any time here?
No,
Okay, can we see page 4? Okay, can you tell me what this is?
that was the night. I believe it was either the 16th or the 17th. I think most likely it was the 17th. I bought her a monster truck set, and she wanted to continue to play with it in the monster truck set later on that evening after we got off the phone with her mother.
Was she distraught at any point here?
No,
I can't hear you.
no, she was not distraught at any point.
Okay, can I see page 5? Okay, what do we have here?
That was late at night. She was struggling to go to sleep, so we decided to watch Spider-Man. That is her watching Spider-Man. Spider-Man and Friends. Let me clarify.
And which day during that weekend is this? Do you remember?
I believe that was either the 18th or the 19th. I think most
Was
likely
she-
it was, sorry,
No, go ahead. Most likely, I'm listening.
most likely I believe that was the 18th. Sorry,
Okay.
that was the 18th. 19th was a Monday. It was the 17th, which was Saturday night.
Okay. Was she distraught at all here?
No,
Okay. And then the last page, page 6. What's this here?
her first day at soccer camp.
Okay. Did she have physical interactions with the kids at this event or activity?
Yeah, she had physical interaction. She basically had a practice and then she also had a game.
Okay. Did she fall at all?
Not to my knowledge.
Did she run into other kids?
That she did do during the game.
I didn't hear you.
She
I
did
heard
run into other kids during the game.
Okay. Did she complain to you about being upset or hurt in any way?
To my knowledge, no. The only thing that she complained about was that they put her and sat her on the bench and she cried because she wanted to go back into the game. That was the only thing that was distraught about her well-being that day.
Judge, I'd like to tender this collective exhibit as exhibit
Any
5.
objection, Ms. Moorcraft?
So again, apologies for my lack of knowledge. I don't have objection for that to go into evidence, but I do have some questions about that.
You will have an opportunity to cross-examine the witness later.
Sir,
All
I
right.
have no objection to that going into evidence.
Admitted without objection. Thank you.
Mr. Hu, are there any other activities that took place over that weekend?
After soccer camp, the soccer game, went to Onan and Ricky's house where they basically played, Eliza played with her cousins, running up and down the stairs, throwing the basketball, playing with toys. Again, later on that evening, we did got the monster trucks and we basically built a monster truck set. The most of the activity that happened was pretty much on Sunday where Miss Winfield treated myself and Eliza to breakfast for Father's Day and treated us to a Legoland and watching the movie. Any physical activity, I would basically say probably would be the pool where Eliza had a vest that probably was a little bit too tight, a life vest to go into the pool that was a little bit too tight. And again, she was very hesitant to go into the pool, so she did do a lot of running around the pool. She did come into the pool with me for about, I'll say 20 minutes. I would say that was pretty much be the length of activity. I have a mini basketball goal inside the house and she would shoot the basketball goal in there. Yes.
Okay, let's talk about the scratch on her neck. Did you do the scratch on her neck?
I do not.
Were you responsible for the scratch that's on Eliza's neck in the photograph?
I am not.
Okay. And what about the scratch on her back in the photograph? Did you cause that?
I have not, and I was not aware of any type of scratches on her neck or scratches on her back till this TPO was presented.
Okay. Did you receive any calls from the school saying that Eliza was distraught or upset after you dropped her off?
I have not received a call from the school about Liza being distraught and upset. Even more so when I brought her to the school, we would generally go meet with a teacher. And we met with a teacher. She was very happy and engaged. And then when I went to go drop her off towards a teacher, she was in a very good spirits.
Okay. Have you received any calls from Child Protective Services or DFAC?
I have not received not one phone call or no voicemails or any emails or any contacts from Child Services nor DFACs.
Okay, Ms. Moorcraft alleged that you forcibly grabbed Eliza in 2021. and you were screaming at her and would not let her go. How old was Eliza in 2021?
In 2021, Eliza was 1 year old. 1 year old. She turned two in December of 2021.
So the bulk of 2021, she was a 1-year-old.
Correct.
Did you forcibly grab this 1-year-old little girl and scream in
No.
her face and would let her go?
No. There has not been an instance or any type of thing that would enforce to do any type of yelling or screaming towards Eliza.
Ms. Moorcraft said you pushed her. Is that true?
I have not pushed Ms. Moorcraft.
Let's talk about this overdose. Can you tell me what happened there?
Are we talking about the overdose in August, or are we talking about the overdose in December?
We're talking about the alleged overdose in both December 2020 and August 2021.
Okay, so August 2021, I worked a very long shift over at FedEx. I and Ms. Moorcraft would take CBD waters and drink CBD waters from a CBD store located in Stone Mountain. I was very hungry at that time, so when I went to the CBD store to go get our CBD waters, I was hungry, so they had a cookie. Again, aware that my knowledge that this was just strictly a CBD store, not knowing that they sell THC or Delta 8. I thought that this was pretty much a CBD cookie that could accompany with CBD water. So I ingested the whole entire cookie, not knowing that it had Delta 8. When I ingested the whole entire cookie, I would say about 30 to 45 minutes later, I started feeling symptoms, and I told Ms. Moorcraft that something is not right. When I started fading and started going into the state that I believe I was in, during that time, I asked Ms. Moorcraft to please call the place and please ask what was in those cookies. I can clearly remember when she's on the phone with the people at the CBD store, she said that the person on the phone said that CBD CBD contained Delta 8.
Let me ask you this. During that time, okay, it contained Delta 8. Got it. Did you hit Ms. Moorcraft while you was on the CBD cookie?
No.
Did you hit Eliza?
No.
Were you violent toward either of them in any way?
No.
Okay. What about December 2020? Did you hit either of them, or were you violent with either of them in any way? Wait a minute. Eliza was born December 2020. Am I right?
19.
19, yeah.
2019. Okay. So that means in 2020. Okay. December 2020. Did you hit either of them under this alleged overdose situation?
No.
Were you abusive toward either of them in any way?
Okay,
No.
well, hold on. You raised your hand. Do you have an objection, or do you just want to argue with his answer?
I'm so sorry, and I will wait my turn, sir.
If you have an objection, now is the time to raise it.
I object because he's lying, but I don't know that I can do that, right?
Okay, no, you can't. You can cross-examine him.
You got it. Thank you, sir.
Objection
Why
overruled.
do you think Ms. Moorcraft? Thank you, Judge. Why do you think Ms. Moorcraft filed this?
Okay,
TPO.
that's speculative. You can argue that all you want in closing.
Okay. Has Ms. Moorcraft? Okay, I'll argue in closing.
All right, are you done?
I think so, Judge.
All right, Ms. Moorcraft, if you have questions, you may cross-examine the witness.
Okay, thank you, sir. So where did Eliza sleep June 16th through 18th?
Judge.
Well, it's during the relevant weekend. I'll allow that to start.
Understood. Eliza slept in my bed.
Okay.
I had set up a bed for her. She did not feel comfortable sleeping in the bed. She wanted to sleep with me in the bed. I also even provided, she wanted a Spider-Man tent, and I provided a Spider-Man tent with a bed inside of it. And during those times, she does not want to sleep in there. She decides she wants to sleep in the same bed with me.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. So we already found out when Miss Winfield left. She didn't leave till the next day. Why? So per Miss Winfield's write-up, it says that Eliza fell asleep in the car and you chose to pick her up and take her out of the car and carry her around Target while she's sleeping. How is that in the best interest of Eliza?
Okay.
Judge, we're not talking
okay,
about the best interest of
Okay,
Eliza.
it has
How are we
nothing to do with your
not talking about the
petition.
best interest?
What does it have to do with your petition, ma'am? About an injury alleged on her back and her collarbone. If you want to ask something about that, you may do so. Do you believe that carrying her around somehow injured her?
If he's carrying her around Target, maybe it did. I don't know. If she was
Okay, and if
asleep,
it did, then wouldn't that be accidental?
of course. And
If it's accidental, then why do you need a protective order?
because he would not talk to me about it. If it was,
There's a communication problem here. I don't doubt that whatsoever. And had
Well,
he
it was
had he
legally
communicated, ma'am, don't talk while I'm talking, please.
Sorry, sir.
Had he communicated with you instead of saying, frankly, whatever, y'all wouldn't even be here today,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Who.
I
In my opinion,
agree.
that's,
And I agree, I understand, Your Honor, and
if a
but
child gets injured, whether it's at soccer, whether it's at Target or whatever, the two of y'all need to be able to talk. If she got injured while she's with her mother, you would want to know, wouldn't you?
agreed. But
Okay.
while I agree to that, Your Honor, it has been very difficult to communicate with her, and
You have an app to do it with. You don't have to talk to each
I-
other, correct?
Understood, Your
say
Honor.
this,
But
though,
I will
Judge.
say this, Your Honor.
If
I did
I-
say, frankly, there's nothing to discuss. But I also clarified that you saw after I said, frankly, there's nothing to discuss, I said I have not raised my hand nor had I hit towards Eliza. More importantly, I also emphasized that you were witness and saw that during FaceTime that she was basically having a good time.
Okay.
So I did not say
know,
just
but
frankly there's nothing to discuss, but I understand where you're coming from.
Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Understood. That's a work in
That's
progress.
for the future. You two are tied together forever. You know that.
Well aware of
Y'all need to
that.
figure it out. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Moorcraft. Do you have any more questions?
So, Mr. Who, if you did not raise a hand or see Eliza fall or hurt herself, where would these scratches have come from? Where are the marks on her back come from?
Okay.
Again, I do not know where those marks will come from. I'm just reporting and telling you what happened during that weekend.
And I'm reporting and telling you how she came home and what I found our daughter stayed in.
Judge, that's not a question.
Ma'am, I'm going to caution you one more time. Do not argue with the witnesses.
Did I lose him?
Understand.
Judge is frozen. One moment, Judge, you froze.
You understand what I'm saying? Okay.
You froze up,
understand
Judge.
not
I
to argue.
said do not argue with the witnesses. You had frozen for a second.
Thank you, ma'am, and I understand, sir, and
Not
I
in
will
the
do
form of
better.
a question. You're not going anywhere with it.
Yes, sir. Mr. Who, in the pictures you presented, who was taking all of those pictures?
What pictures are we talking about?
We just submitted into
Ones you just
evidence
presented in
over the
court.
weekend.
Okay, the pictures that was at soccer camp, that was me. Pictures at Legoland, and the pictures at Legoland was Miss Winfield. The picture of her and her monster trucks, that was me. Picture of watching TV, that was me.
How about at the school?
At the school, Daughters with Donuts, that was one of the workers from,
All right.
Okay, Mr. Who, can you please just clarify for the court and for everyone that did I reach out to you prior to filing the TPO?
Yes, you sent me a message via the parenting app in which we communicate that you had a deep concern about what Eliza said. Not at any given time, you have not shared any of those pictures that you presented in evidence, but you have expressed your concern. That's when I replied, frankly, there's nothing to discuss because I have not hit or raised my hand towards Eliza. More importantly, this is not the first time that you have expressed a concern about someone hitting Eliza.
Mr. Who, can you please go into more detail about that?
I sure can. Around September 2021, you told me and expressed to me that Eliza said that her teacher from Goddard said that she hit her.
Yep. What
I
happened?
said that okay, I can tell you exactly what happened. I said, okay, if this is the information that you found, then we need to basically present this to the school.
I'm sorry, can you rewind to the beginning of the day when the school did the incident report? Can we start?
Okay.
with the
Let him finish his
I-
answer.
Yeah, because I said that we need to basically report this to school. You were very hesitant in going to pursue this matter. So I said, fine, I will take care of this myself. So I went to the school and I presented to them about the alleged of saying that you said that Eliza said that the teacher hit the daughter, hit Eliza. They got back with me. They communicated. They said that they would basically bring on an investigation. They contacted me and they told me all the stuff that happened during that time. And after a week after that investigation, they said that there was no record or report of the teacher allegedly hitting Eliza.
How old was Eliza at that time?
Eliza was, I believe, this is 2021. She was, I apologize, it was incorrect, 2022. She was currently 2 at the time.
Okay, just curious.
This was around September or so, I believe.
2, almost 3 then.
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
And Mr. Hu, was there an incident report that happened that day at school that Eliza claimed her teacher hit her?
Was there an incident report? I was trying to get information about the incident report. They have not submitted an incident report. What they submitted to me was another incident report of what happened when Eliza was dancing and she fell. But I tried to obtain those copies specifically for this TPO about that incident report.
Okay. What is
So
the
that's
relevance?
only-
What is the relevance of this?
I don't know.
Morecraft, what is the relevance?
That there was an incident that happened when Eliza said that the teacher hit her, that she fell down and had a big red mark on her head, and that the teacher was the first person to pick her up. And so in her mind, the teacher knocked her down. It was an accident.
Okay.
Something happened.
But this is evident.
Who can I
Hold
finish?
on, Mr. Who.
So if that was the only other time that Eliza's alleged that somebody's hit her and there was an incident that happened, was it that the teacher actually hit her? No.
Okay.
But was there an incident that happened? Yes.
Okay.
And
All right.
so
We've established that. Now let's move on.
Okay, great. Mr. Hu, multiple times you've said that Eliza was in great condition over this weekend.
I said great spirits.
Thank you for correcting me. Eliza being in great spirits for 3 days with no nap just does not seem realistic to me. Can you please describe that to me?
How's that relevant to this?
Sir, you don't get to say that.
Sorry, understood.
I do, and your lawyer does.
Okay. Please repeat the question.
I don't know the relevance.
I don't either.
Okay, we can let it go.
That's something you can argue, Ms. Morecraft, but whether or not the child can go 24 hours without being upset. We're talking about a 3-year-old here, folks.
Right.
A 3-year-old. Okay, go ahead. You have any more questions?
In relevance to this weekend, sir.
In relevance to your petition.
Yes, sir. So during your 2 overdoses, if you were not fully cognizant, how do you know if you hit me or my brother or our daughter or my mother?
Is that in the petition?
Yes, sir.
Okay, which one? Which
The
paragraph?
petition doesn't allege, I'm sorry, the petition doesn't allege that he hit her. It just says that he overdosed.
Right.
And I had to call the ambulance for medical assistance. Yes.
Okay.
But you did not call the police.
Hold it.
All right.
Okay. Look, if you're going to base it on your petition, ma'am, look and ask exactly what's in the petition. Don't add things. If you didn't allege he hit you, then you can't go there.
Okay.
Because due process allows him to have knowledge of what the accusations are in full, not partial.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
You
sir.
understand the difference?
I do.
Okay. You may proceed.
I don't think I Mr. Hu, do you have a firearm in your home?
I do not, and I do not own any firearms.
Have you ever possessed a firearm?
The only time that I possessed a firearm is when in July, around the 4th of July, when your friend's husband,
Our friend.
What year?
Ma'am, Ms. Moorcraft, I've told you repeatedly not to argue with his answer. You don't get to correct him. Okay? Y'all not married anymore. We're not together. You don't get to correct him, period.
Yes, sir.
You can argue all you want to later. If you can tell me everything you think he said that you believe is false, and I'm sure they're going to tell me everything he said that they believe is true.
Yes, sir.
That's why we're here.
My apologies again.
What were you going to say about the firearm in July, sir? Not that I think it's relevant, but
same here, but I will answer it. July, I believe it was the 4th of July. We
year?
had, I
What year?
believe, 2022. Katie invited her friend and her friend's husband, who has a son that is similar to Eliza's age. That's the first time I was meeting them. That's the first time I was meeting them. And we basically had discussions about parenting and protection. We had discussions about firearms, and I said, I'm not very comfortable having a firearm or things of that nature. At that time, a little bit after they left, he presented me with an unloaded and with no clip or none of that stuff, small firearm. He said he wanted me to come and practice to learn about gun safety. So that's when he presented that to me to say, just want you to practice, seeing how it is for pretty much to be in gun safety. At that time, at that night, I spoke to, am I speaking towards her, Your Honor, or am I speaking?
well,
I spoke to Ms. Moorcraft.
answer her questions. I'm the one that gets to decide based
No
on
worries.
everybody tested.
The question, hold on. The question was what? What was the question? The question was.
The question was, did I ever possess a firearm? And I'm reporting the time that I possessed.
Okay, I think you've answered the question.
Okay,
Let's
no
move
worries.
on.
I believe that's it, sir.
Okay, do you have any redirect, Ms. Boyd?
Judge, I think we've done enough here.
Okay. All right, closing arguments. Ms. Moorcraft, you get to go first as to why you think a protective order needs to be issued. And as to, you can argue what evidence you believe can be used as the basis for me to issue one.
Right. Okay, so my daughter stated that to me that her father hit her on her chest and her backside over the week of the 16th to 18th. I only spoke to her for about a total of 20 minutes during the weekend, and I saw her play with toys and run away to go get dad because she was scared to be alone. I did not personally see him do anything, nor do I think that he would put his hands on her in front of his family. But I don't know what happens behind closed doors, and nobody does, right? My daughter has come home pretty much every weekend now from his house saying, I'm scared to close my eyes. Please don't make me go back there, and not wanting to sleep. And that was prior to this weekend. So it was already happening. So if we want to pull up document 1, it's
Okay, we're not pulling up documents now. We're
Okay.
closing argument.
So Mr. Hu has been very aware that Eliza's been having issues staying at his house and being scared to stay at his house. And we were trying to work together at points, and then it stopped happening. It makes me very concerned that he brought a gun into the house with a 2-year-old without telling me, and he had it in here for a month without my knowledge. So
I didn't hear any actual evidence of that. Please don't argue anything that's not in evidence. There was no evidence that he had it for a month.
Even though he just said he had it?
Sir, did you say you had it in your possession for a full month without the
No,
clip?
I did not.
I didn't hear a month anywhere in there.
No problem. I apologize. It makes
And
me
that she was aware. And I also stated that she was.
Okay, sir. You answered my question.
He was also previously diagnosed by a psychiatrist with having.
Ma'am, there's no evidence of that. There's absolutely zero evidence before this court about any diagnosis of the respondent. You cannot argue something that is not in evidence.
Okay. I don't really know what to tell you, sir, other than I have tried to reach out to him, to co-parent, to talk about this. I tried to reach out to Miss Boyd as we spoke last week, and I asked her if we could try to work something out with supervised visitation until we go to family court, and she just hung up on me and left the room. I have been trying to work this out before it got to this point, and I've been laughed at like I'm lying and not trying to do what's best for my daughter. And I'm here trying to protect my daughter from, I believe, a mentally unwell man. And I pray and hope for the future that things change, and I want them. I think everybody believes a father and daughter should have a healthy relationship, and I truly want that. But I don't think that's what's happening right now. And my daughter that's been here for now 60 days without seeing her father has not asked to talk to him, has not asked to go to his house, and is starting to sleep better, and is, just like little improvements in her mental and emotional that I see. So not just words, her everything. So I would love for them to have supervised visits and, go to Legoland for a couple hours. And then
they can't take a supervisor with them.
Okay. Well, I thought that we could agree on a supervisor, and they could do things together where it's not too stressful for him or her, and starting a positive relationship back. Because right now, I told her that Daddy and I were going to talk to see, what we could do, and she runs away scared. So I don't even know that she's gonna want to do this, but I want them to have a positive relationship, and however I can be supportive of that with keeping her safe is my top priority.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Boyd, any closing?
Judge, this is sad, actually, that people tend to use this system as leverage or to try to get ahead or to try to get some sort of advantage. I think it's perfectly clear here that Ms. Moorcraft filed this in retaliation. And I think it's perfectly clear that she's trying to get the upper hand as it relates to custody. She said herself, I want supervised until we get the family situated. Well, why didn't we just get the family court motion heard? Why did we go this route? Why did you keep him from the daughter? You gave the school a copy of this TPO and alleged that he's been abusing your daughter. And it's strange because all of this evidence relies on nothing but what Ms. Moorcraft heard and saw. She told me, I saw her, she told me this, that. Everything is what Ms. Moorcraft said that was said. Everything is what Ms. Moorcraft says was done. We've requested a guardian ad litem. That's what they're there for. So somebody can get in there and take a look around and speak with Eliza when Ms. Moorcraft is not hovering over her to see if she sees anything or he sees anything wrong. But right now, all we have is what Ms. Moorcraft says happens right after my client files a consent. Now, it's why, because here's the thing, Judge. The child was in school the whole day. After that weekend, he dropped the baby off at school. Ms. Moorcraft testified that nobody reached out to her. So she had a whole full day at school. Nobody said a word. And then all of a sudden, when Ms. Moorcraft picked her up, she's having night terrors for 2 weeks. She's completely distraught, screaming, crying, and kicking. All of a sudden, after a full day with nothing. In her emergency motion that we entered into evidence here, she claimed she had issues with her back. She had an injury to her back. On this TPO, she says it's her neck. The counselor said that the child said he hits her bottom.
I apologize for interrupting your argument, but the petition says the back and the neck, I believe, doesn't it?
Petition says neck.
Okay.
The TPO says mother says she observed a scratch on her neck.
Okay.
Her emergency motion says back.
Okay.
But the counselor said bottom. I don't know how you get a scratch on the front of your neck from being hit on your bottom. This child was around, and give it, they weren't around for long periods of times, but they were around at different periods of times. And over the course of this entire weekend, nobody else saw a thing. You have 4 people here, 5 including my client, saying they didn't see anything wrong. And then you have Ms. Moorcraft here So she specifically admitted that she didn't get the response that she wanted from Mr. Who. This didn't have to go this far. I filed it because he didn't, because of this response.
You
How
filed
entitled
what?
is
I'm
that?
sorry, you filed what?
She said she filed the
Okay.
TPO because of the response that she got
Okay.
on the text.
I thought you weren't coming in clearly enough. I thought you said you filed something in response. That's what I was.
No, Judge.
Okay, I misheard
No,
you
Ms.
then.
Ms. Morecraft specifically said that she filed this TPO because she was trying to communicate with Mr. Who, and she didn't get the answer that she wanted, or she didn't approve of the answer. She specifically said she did it because she didn't hear the response she wanted to hear. How entitled is that? It's people that are out there being abused, and you're sitting here with us when you need to be hearing their case and protecting them. This is a 3-year-old child. You want me to believe that my client said, I want more time with my kids, so I'm going to file a modification asking for more time with my child on the 15th, and then the next day I'm going to beat on him. That doesn't even make sense. Father's Day weekend. Yes, let me abuse my child on Father's Day weekend right after I ask the court for more time with him.
Anything else?
Nothing further, Judge.
Okay. All right. When you're dealing with a small child, it's next to impossible to get to the bottom of what happened. I don't dispute, the pictures. There's pictures of scratches. There's pictures of a mark. But that alone being unexplained, rightly or wrongly, you would hope that both parents would get together and try to figure out what happened. But we're talking about minor scratches here. Soccer, playing on the floor with the cousins. I don't know. You don't know. Mr. Who doesn't know. None of us know how those scratches got there. And there's been no evidence that I can base a temporary protective order upon whatsoever. There were incidents perhaps a year or two ago where you yourself, not necessarily the child, where you yourself probably could have gotten a protective order for the incidents if they had panned out and proven to be true in court or credible in court. But those had no bearing whatsoever on the issue in front of me. It's one incident, unexplained. I wish it could have been handled differently by the two of you with a couple of more rounds of communication before it got to this point. As I said, y'all are tied together forever, and y'all can litigate and spend all the money you want on all this litigation and pulling and tugging on that beautiful little 3-year-old child. You can do it till she's 18. And what will it accomplish? Nothing for either one of you. What might happen, though, is what's going to happen to her if y'all don't figure out how to co-parent like adults. I don't know if it's a substance abuse problem, Mr. Who. I didn't even know that CBD stores could sell something that would do what happened to you. That's kind of frightening to hear myself. I've spent 40 years doing this, working in our criminal courts, and I know what I know about CBD you could put in a thimble, and that's not much. But I would hope that would be 2 lessons learned. Why even try for a third seizure? But I don't know. I don't know if it could have killed you. I don't know if you could have had a stroke. I don't know what could have happened from it. But it sounds pretty risky to me. But that was when y'all were together. So there's nobody to monitor either one of you while you're apart from each other. You can't know what's going on in each other's household 24/7. It's absolutely impossible to know. I do not find that the filing of the TPO, in my opinion, was filed as a retaliatory move by the petitioner. It was filed based upon those scratches, and that alone may have been premature without knowing or having some reasonable belief as to how it occurred. You've highlighted that there was an incident at school where she said, I got hit by the teacher, when it later turned out, no, it was an accidental thing. But in your own words, ma'am, you said that's the way she described it, even though it's being accepted as an accident, not as an intentional act by that teacher. Well, I've got a couple granddaughters that play soccer, And in the earlier year, I didn't know they even did it for 3-year-olds, but it's pack ball. There's the ball, and here's all the players just gathered around it, bumping into each other. I have no idea. It could have been the life vest in the pool. That would wrap around her back and her neck. I can't say what caused it. Nobody can. And I can't grant a protective order unless I have a reasonable certainty that what caused it. And if there's no evidence been presented that can attribute those injuries to Mr. Who. It happened while it was in his care. The two of you need to, as parents, you need to protect your children from negligence and accidents. And if something happens and you know about it, and Mr. Who, if you happen to have noticed, a scratch on her or a mark, I would think the first thing you need to be doing is getting on that app, and vice versa. Because if y'all want to keep doing this, I'm sure if she ever falls and gets a scratch on her knee, Ms. Moorcraft, he might be doing the same thing that occurred here, accusing you of injuring this child. At one point, the two of you actually must have trusted each other. You were in a relationship and you got a child, and you're going to have to figure out how to reestablish that trust between the two of you and figure it out. I've said this many times, and having practiced divorce and domestic law in my practice, the best visitation or parenting time agreement is only one sentence long. That the non-custodial parent can visit with the minor child at such times and places as the parties mutually agree. Think about that. It means, hey, I got the day off. Can I see Eliza? Or I'm going out of town on a trip. We're going to be near Disney World. I know it's not my weekend. Can we trade off? Things like that. But do you know why the parenting agreements end up being 3, 4, 5, 10 pages long? Because the parties won't ever agree. Now, which do you think is better for the child? That one sentence means that you have a healthy child who loves both their parents, who goes back and forth freely between the parents with the blessing of the other parent, and then you raise a healthy, happy child. If you're going to exercise all those 5 or 10 pages in an agreement, something's wrong. But that's why that's why we put them in there. That's why the courts put them in there. That's why the courts have pre-printed parenting agreements, because they know that the two adults are emotional with each other. And sometimes it doesn't work. And so you got to have some ground rules there. And that's why y'all have those. I urge you to follow them, both of you. Again, I don't find the filing of this petition to be a problem, other than the fact that it got us to this point. It just became an unprovable situation in court. Ma'am, do you have an attorney representing you in Gwinnett County?
I have one, sir. Part of my problem is I'm currently unemployed.
Okay, well, you need to try and figure out how to get one. And if you do get one, maybe your attorney and Ms. Boyd can work out something to resolve this. Y'all can go all day, and keep filing all this stuff, accusing the other one of not following the agreement, not following this or that. You started out, when I heard consent, that's progress. That's better than many do. But you need to get back in that mode of consenting and working something out between the two of you. Has no bearing on what I'm doing here. I'm just telling you, as a parent, a grandfather, and somebody who practiced domestic law for 40 years, both practice and on the bench, y'all got to figure it out, or you're going to have a whole lot more trouble with this sweet little child. A lot. Get back into counseling. Do something. Figure it out. All right. I guess I've preached way more than I should have, and I apologize for that. I'm trying to look out for the best interest of this child. That's my responsibility too in the litigation we're in. But I'm telling you, that's exactly what the judge in Gwinnett's going to do. And that's what the guardian ad litem is going to do. And none of that's going to be cheap. So y'all figure it out, I hope, and realize that even down the road after the child's 18, you're going to be able to be in the same room if she gets married. You're going to be able to be there for graduation, high school, college, whatever. Can you sit on the same row and let her see you both smiling and proud of her? Think about way down the road and think about how you're going to get there. All right. Good luck to both of you. And the case.
Really quickly, I'm sorry.
Okay, go
Really
ahead.
quickly, this is a bit of a stretch. Two things though. One, we had a counterclaim for attorney's fees, so I had to just mention it. And the second thing is whether or not you would be willing to include your findings in whatever order you issued today.
I'm going to enter my standard dismissal for insufficient evidence, and that's it.
Okay.
I
And then the counterclaim for attorney's fees.
denied. Y'all deal with that in the other case. I'm not going to compound this problem. Y'all can deal with it in Gwinnett as far as anything out there, which is going to be far more expensive than what we've had here today. As I said, I understand why it was filed, and I do not believe it was necessarily filed in retaliation, as you have alleged and argued very well. But I just do not believe it was filed on that basis. It was filed on the basis of seeing some unexplained scratches and what was perceived to be an insufficient response by your client that led to it. That's, maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way I saw it. So I'm not going to award any attorney's fees in this case. So I will also include that in the dismissal.